The day the single father said he could heal her eyes, the sun was high and unforgiving, pouring light over a world she could not see, and in that brutal brightness a secret long buried began to crack open. Arman Halim lived by the rhythm of daylight. Mornings meant walking his son to school, afternoons meant repairing old electronics in a cramped roadside stall, and evenings meant counting coins under a sky that never seemed to rest. He was a widower with calloused hands and a heart that learned to survive by staying quiet. On one ordinary afternoon, when the city hummed with traffic and vendors shouted under the blazing sun, he noticed a young girl standing still near his stall, her face lifted toward the light as if trying to remember what colors felt like. Her name was Safiya Noor, and she had lost her sight slowly over the years, like a sunset that never quite finished disappearing. People passed her without seeing her, but Arman did. He felt something old stir in his chest, something that had once been hope. Before the story deepens, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that happen in plain daylight, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Whisper Tales 3. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Safiya lived with her father in a guarded mansion across the river, though no one in the neighborhood knew who he truly was. To them he was just Mr. Noor, a reserved man who traveled often and kept his distance. What they did not know was that he was Karim Noor, one of the richest men in the region, a billionaire whose name moved markets and whose decisions shaped cities. Wealth had given him power over everything except the one thing that mattered most to him. His daughter's eyes were failing, and no amount of money had stopped it. Specialists came and went, promises were made and broken. Daylight became cruel, reminding him of what she was losing. Arman's claim that he could heal her eyes did not come from arrogance or madness. Years earlier, before life collapsed around him, he had been a medical researcher working on experimental regenerative therapies. When his wife died and institutions turned cold, he walked away from credentials and careers, carrying only his knowledge and his grief. He never spoke of it. But something about Safiya, standing bravely in the sun, reminded him of the life he had abandoned. He began helping her in small ways, guiding her safely through crowded streets, fixing a broken music player she loved, teaching her to feel the warmth of daylight without fearing it. Challenges rose like walls. Karim Noor discovered his daughter's visits and saw only danger. A poor single father with impossible claims looked like a threat to everything he had built. He ordered investigations, background checks, silent warnings. Arman felt the pressure immediately. Suppliers stopped selling to him. His stall was vandalized in broad daylight. Fear crept in, but it did not push him away. It anchored him. He remembered why he once believed in healing, why science was meant to serve the powerless, not impress the powerful. Safiya's condition worsened as summer reached its brightest days. The doctor spoke of inevitability. Karim felt the sun mock him every morning. As it spilled across marble floors his daughter could no longer admire. Desperation stripped away pride. When evidence of Arman's past finally reached him, it did not look like a con artist's history. It looked like a man who had been broken by loss. The secret Karim had hidden for years surfaced then. Quietly but decisively. He had built his empire by funding medical research, yet when Arman's work showed promise years ago, Karim's company had withdrawn support to protect profits tied to existing treatments. That decision, buried under legal language, had slowed the very research that might have saved his daughter earlier. Daylight became the setting for reckoning. Karim went to the stall himself, no guards, no announcements, the sun beating down on both men equally. Pride dissolved into something human. Arman did not beg or accuse. He simply explained what he knew, what might still be possible, and what risks remained. The treatment was unapproved, fragile, and required trust more than money. Karim faced the truth that his wealth had not made him brave. This moment demanded a different currency. The procedure took place in a modest clinic flooded with natural light. No dramatic machines, no spectacle, just careful hands, controlled breaths, and hours that stretched like years. Arman worked with a focus that erased everything else. Karim waited in silence, watching the sun move across the floor, realizing how often he had chased shadows instead of light. When it was done, nothing happened immediately. Healing, Arman had warned, was a process, not a performance. Days passed, then weeks. One morning, as sunlight filtered through a window, Safiya reacted differently. She turned toward the brightness not out of habit, but recognition. Colors came first as feelings, then as shapes, then as truth. The world returned to her gently, as if afraid to overwhelm her. Kareem wept openly, unguarded, in full daylight, understanding that the greatest miracle was not the healing of her eyes, but the healing of his own blindness to what mattered. Before this story closes, if it has moved you even a little, please take a moment to engage with the video. Your likes, shares, and comments help stories of compassion reach farther than silence ever could. And please comment the word light below to show your support and let us know you were here. Kareem did not erase the past, but he confronted it. He funded Armand's research openly, without ownership or control, ensuring it would serve those who could not afford miracles. Armand remained a single father, still walking his son to school under the same sun, but now with quiet dignity restored. Sophia returned to daylight not as something to fear, but something to cherish. Each sunrise a reminder that second chances often arrive without noise, carried simply by the courage to see one another. The sun set that evening as it always did, but it left behind something new. A world slightly kinder than it had been that morning, proving that even in the brightest day, the most powerful light is the one we choose to give.